So I've decided to surprise Ewan with an unexpected selection of comments and questions so that we can hit off the new year by answering those for you. So
go for your life.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, on this one, about cyanobacteria, the incredible survival ability of cyanobacteria, KMD-R1N writes, you are the knowledge that every farmer needs. No to chemicals. Let farms grow fertilized naturally healthier.
Well, that's great. But I mean, I guess the thing is that what we're trying to do with this channel or whatever is to increase the discussion.
Yeah.
And because what I'm trying to point out is that, right, no one's talking about the cyanobacteria. And I said, well, they need to start. And they need to know and understand it. I mean, it's quite simple when you go back to the science books. It says this planet would not be functioning as it is right now without cyanobacteria.
And as I've come to realize, farmers are actually cyanobacteria farmers.
Yeah, well, some of them aren't very good ones at that, but some of them are really good. But we don't understand that process, or we haven't understood that process. And they require a specific set of circumstances. And I was just reading a paper before just to try and get myself up to speed on some other stuff. And the reality is people are not talking to each other, the way the funding works and the study, the research and the commercial interest.
Yeah.
There's no interest in solving problems. I have to sell a product.
True. Someone's also written here, Michael Cooney has written, these chemical fertilizer companies must hate this information. I guess they might. They might love it.
Probably think it would be a bit more fascinating if they actually read it and watched it. But I mean, same thing. I was reading in the paper and they were saying how these chemical companies have trouble keeping staff and they come and go on and nobody really knows what they're doing anyway. So they're a disorganized commercial company.
Well, they're kind of one-trick ponies too, right? With a very few sort of solutions, really a hammer as a solution for all of the problems.
Yes. Well, that appears to be the case. I haven't dealt with them for so long. It's sort of like, it's a bit whatever.
Yeah, sure. This one, why cyanobacteria are the secret to health. Jeff Spalding writes, cyanobacteria are found everywhere in the natural world. They're also essential to the atmospheric gas cycling and hydrogeologic cycles of the planet. Thanks for sharing your valuable farming techniques and not using synthetic chemicals.
Well, there you go. Somebody's done
to achieve healthy soil quality.
Yeah, so he's done it. He knows his background science.
Yeah.
He understands, and he understands that they are everywhere.
Yeah.
Let's use them.
Now, on this one on Chapter 15. So Chapter 15 is from the Book Pod Companion. The chapter by chapter, for those who are watching and going, what's Chapter 15? So Ewan wrote a book and it's called The EcoFarmer's Discovery. And we put out an episode every week until all of the chapters are covered off. There's about 28 chapters. And at Chapter 15, it's called Shiny Stuff. And we've got a bunch of questions from that. So down here we've got, do you talk about biochar in the chapters?
No, I don't.
What is biochar?
Well, biochar is you take wood matter and then you turn it into a charcoal and you use it in the soils. And predominantly came from the Amazon rainforest with really high rainfall and no carbon in the soil, and they found a way to actually hook mineralogy to it. Right. We don't have to be I haven't utilised it because we find that if we set the environment, the carbon will come anyway, and I've gone about it in different ways. So I've seen some great results from the biochar, but I've just generally found that it's for the large-scale farming and that we're dealing with, we're better off to just carry on with what we're doing.
Why would a person want biochar in a small, medium, or large situation?
If they haven't got any carbon in their soil, they want to hold the nutrients, and the carbon will do that. So it sets up the negative sites in the soil for the cations to hold on to. So it's looking for a home to hold nutrient to in an exchangeable form, and that's why it works.
This next one is from Rick Cameron. I get the feeling you might know Rick.
Oh, Rick. Me and Rick go way back, yeah.
Well, he's written something very nice. He writes, can't speak highly enough of Ewan's explanations of the changes of the effects of the phosphate source changes on our coastal farm and family in the high country affected by the Horatian spread. You were saying before Horatian. That's
Horatium it is.
Horatium, sorry. What's that? That's a type of weed? Yeah,
it's a little flat weed and it's got little furry leaves on it. And we've done the bit of research on that in the past, and it comes about when the aluminium gets out of hand. And we did testing down south in the high country where they had a big problem. And it was really where they'd put superphosphate on and the aluminium had gone through the roof. And the Horatium grew. And you get to the outside of the spread and there wasn't any Horatium, and then up it'd go again. And the testing just showed the higher the aluminium, the more Horatium you had.
Right. Well, thank you for your kind comments there, Rick. Brethenix writes, what is the level of aluminium to be under?
0. The aluminium that really causes the most damage is the free aluminium, Al3+, floating around
All right.
in a very toxic form. And it's chronic. It just blows everything up. It kills bacteria, kills everything. And it just means if you got a lot of that floating around, you got no silicon at all. It's a really dangerous thing, and it's not been discussed enough.
Right.
People are starting to understand it. We see it mostly in deodorants when you put it under your arms to stop smelling.
Yeah.
But that's to kill off the biology.
Yeah.
And so look at the relationship of putting it in the soil in a soluble form.
Yeah. And the biology is so important to be alive there.
Oh, yes.
This is from EMF Protection for Farms, the power of guardian rocks. And that was one of our earlier videos. Had 9 comments. Kevin Lafan writes, how can I get these rocks? I'm in Ireland. Thanks.
Well, look, we've found 6 or 7 sources around this country. We have a particular andesite one that we supply because we can get it cut up and put into bags and send it off to you. And it's a one-trick pony. It's not a great business model because once you've sorted your farm and your house and everything else, you don't need to do it again. There are others you can find in this country, and I know with 2 or 3 of them are, but no, it's hardly worth the effort, really. You might as well just ring up and get the bag of rocks and the instructions on how to fix the problem. It'll save you more time than you can understand.
Yeah, yeah. Well, should
there'll be
Kevin
some in
try
Ireland?
To get some in Ireland?
Yeah, there will be some in Ireland. And you need to do a bit of kinesiology and testing against incoming currents, outgoing stuff. And once you watch the video and that sort of go and play around with the rocks and see if it works.
Okay. Okay, interesting. Good luck with that,
He
Kev.
he might be called a mad Irishman if he's caught doing it, but
well, we've been called worse.
Yeah.
Okay, so John Fowler writes, I knew I was on to something when I fitted demand switches to the house I brought my children up in.
Oh, okay. Turn the power off around the house.
Right. I suppose that's a good move. In some ways, you'll save money and potentially cut off EMF fields. Yeah.
That's the nuts and bolts of it. Is like when you go to bed at night and you turn the switch off, it stops it, cuts it right back. So it stops it. I mean, I can't handle this stuff. Ugh.
Well, good thinking, John. Good thinking indeed. This person who calls themselves XXX Crazy Bastard XXX, Ewan, it sounds like you have a PCSM.
I do.
What is a PCSM?
It's a Phil Callahan meter, which was done for measuring the it's the CGS. It's the paramagnetic value of rock, which is the magnetic attraction without polarity. Now, the highest what you're really measuring is the amount of attraction or magnetic attraction. Now, oxygen is the most powerful paramagnetic material because it is the most one that wants to oxidize everything. It has a draw, charged. And so that's one of the really important parts to do when you're setting up some of the electromagnetic fields in the soil and that as well. Okay. So what else did he say?
Well, he says, unfortunately, because he must know the history as you do, unfortunately, Pike Labs in the US appears to no longer be manufacturing it. I know that Graham Salt in Australia has attempted to get a new manufacturer but got scammed on his first attempt. Do you have any leads on where to acquire one?
I do not know. Sorry, I do not know.
Oh, well, thank you, Crazy Bastard. Appreciate your inside knowledge there.
Yeah, but if I get one, I'll find out. I'll put it up there on. Yeah.
Right. Now, this next person writes, hi, Ewan. What other rocks can be used? Here in Australia, the nearest andesite quarry seems to be in the Hunter Valley and is a 13-hour round trip from me, hoping to find something closer. Cheers. Look, that's the Ekatoni.
Yeah, get out there and try them. That's what I say. Is just get some rocks and try them against your cell phone and test your muscle testing and just
do the kinesiology on it.
Kinesiology and
Farmer Bob writes, how and where can I find guardian rocks in the US?
Same thing. Yeah, look, go volcanic quarries. Start.
Yeah. Actually, we've got a reply on that one from us.
Yeah.
We have identified a supply in New Zealand after finding that Acres USA found some over there. We could send you some, however, the freight may be prohibitive. If you use kinesiology, which is what you're talking to, you may find a suitable rock yourself. Nature provides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get out there and try it out.
Yeah, cool. On this video, which is chapter 10, covering off the chapter called Science in your book, Rick Easley writes, I'm happy to hear I'm not the only one who plugged a solar panel into the garden. Smiley face.
Awesome, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And Lahu's written some really nice comments. He writes, too good, guys. I was so engaged in listening, I burned my lunch. Keep it up.
He probably had it hooked straight to the solar panel.
Yeah.
No, we've had some interesting experiments. We found that we use it in the winter and not in the summer.
Oh, okay.
It's just too much go in the summer.
Wow.
Well, we had a big solar panel. We had 24 volts running through the veggie garden, and it was like, ugh.
Could be too much.
It could be too much.
What's the ideal voltage?
Look, I don't know. I'm still, we're seeing the variations. Like naturally, we got 0.25 of a volt, and we bumped that up to 24. So I think we might have been going a bit hard.
In our episode Minerals for the Genetic Code a couple of months ago, Rick Cameron writes, really enjoyed the chart in-depth explanation conversation. Thank you both. Thanks to Ewan's suggestion years ago. My book is well worn too, he writes. It is a brilliant resource, but so too is your presentation to interpret the greater picture. Oh, that's very kind.
Yeah, I do. It's sort of like a lot of the stuff you get off, you sit there and you write it and you want to make it perfect, but then people come back to and ask questions. It's easier to discuss stuff. There's so much stuff that we need to be discussing amongst ourselves. And it is really cool when you go to people's places now. A group we were with in Southland last week, they're doing a lot of homework and they're asking lots of really good questions.
That's cool.
And when you
because when you visit people, you draw a bit of a crowd and they get right on top of the questions that we're dealing with here. What
the good thing is that, like when you go out, in that case, we're digging holes and I was just pointing out sort of things where the clay particles hadn't broken down with the chemistry and like, the interaction is really cool then because you can go, so there's the clay particles where no biology will go into because of the chemistry and all that. So then they give you the history on the paddock of when it was sprayed and grown and and you're just like, well, and they totally
there it is.
There it is, and they just totally get it. They said that when they know there was something wrong, couldn't put their finger on it.
Yeah, right. Lahu's back again, and he says back again to say thanks. Waiting patiently for the case studies before I order my soil test.
Yeah.
We get the case study question a bit, don't we?
Yeah, well, I got to get you out around the country. It has been a bit hectic, Stephen.
Send me around the country.
Yeah.
I'm happy to rack up my mileage. Okay, so avatar dancer? Okay. Hey, writes, this is an excellent conversation. Thank you so much. Well, that's kind of you. Thank you, avatar dancer. Jack Cow for Magic Beans writes, connection to your craft is a dimension that gets overlooked, i.e., good farmer who knows how to be a good farmer and bad farmer that doesn't, one who cares about how they cultivate will always advance with better results overall than one who doesn't care about cultivation.
Just got to talk about shit.
Yeah.
And slowly it's just sure it sinks in.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I think Jack Cow there has a good sense of the philosophy that we're talking about. Now, on this one, why this one made the farm explode from Trevor Bettis. What about other silicon products? I saw one which said 20 per year cost per acre. I'm not quite sure what he's saying.
Oh, it might have been $20. I've done a lot of work in this before. And so when we go through a chemistry process, like you can buy potassium silicate, calcium silicate, there's not that much around it. Some of it's pricey, We've gone down a different approaches that we're looking to create a system in the soil which has evolved over millions of years and what we see come about from it. So what we're trying to do is what we are doing is just utilising evolution and the functions of nature to actually put a system back in place. And I kind of like it because it's over time, you'll just, as we see, we're tracking down on inputs.
Yeah.
And the production is going up and still going up.
That's what you want. You want less inputs and higher production.
That's absolutely. And that's what's happening. So, I mean, I've looked at some of these things. I mean, you wouldn't have thought Basic Slag was determined a silicon fertiliser, but it turned out that it was until they removed the silicon sand off the beach. But, I haven't seen any other cost-effective ones. There's liquid ones that are available for high-value crops that you can spray on. They're really good. But as far as broadacre and trying to they're not solving a problem. What they're doing is just mending the symptom for a short period of time. They're just giving it a silicon fix, but it hasn't solved the ongoing system that should be in place.
Right. Now, am I right in thinking that in Chapter 9, electrifying, that's where you mention basic slag in the book?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, which is cool because we've got Chapter 9, the book pod companion questions here from about a month ago. This is how bad we've been with answering the comments.
Well, it's been Christmas.
It's been Christmas. Rick Easley writes, I've been down the electroculture rabbit hole. That sounds like a snug rabbit hole to go down, and have been using biochar. There's biochar again, and basalt to create 0.5 volts. Oh, interesting.
Cool.
And have strategically placed magnesium rods to bump the voltage to 1.5 volts. Oh, very cool. Very interesting results with my blue corn and lamb's quarters. Got to 8, would that be 8 inch?
Foot.
8 foot tall. Oh, this has got to be an American.
Yeah, well, it sounds fascinating. I mean, there's all sorts of things that we can do. And that's where I'm sort of looking at it. When you look at, sounds like he's got a small setup where we're actually looking at a large broadacre sense of how this works. But, it's a bit like our solar panel in the greenhouse.
Yeah.
You're upping the ante big time.
Rick, that's a really cool comment, by the way. And if you want to clarify anything that you've said there or comment on what we've mentioned, please do.
Yeah.
Now, Gabriel GX117 writes, these electrical ideas have me thinking this is the same thing as electroculture and how those old round towers work. There's more to read. What does that mean by the round towers?
Well, Callaghan spoke about them, and there's quite a bit of work being done in Ireland where they build paramagnetic rock towers and create a electromagnetic frequency and electrical process from it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, these things were done ages ago, and Callaghan, a lot of Callaghan's work was actually based on measuring the frequency that came off it. He was a radio operator in the Second World War and was based in Ireland, and he did a lot of, when he wasn't doing that, I think he was mucking around out in the field playing around with all these things. So, yeah.
Oh, that's clever. Gabriel goes on to write, they pull a positive electrical potential from the air and dissipate it through the soil to a strong negative spot. These poles attract nutrients from surrounding soils. Yeah, okay. That makes sense to me now.
Yeah.
Ozcord6828 writes, what about lightning and nitrogen? My garden grows extra well after lightning. That's kind of a cool comment.
It is pretty much well-known factor, and they say about bringing nitrogen into the factor, but, you think about the whole context right across it, the oxygenation in the atmosphere, the electrification of the soil. Yeah. There's a myriad of things that come about from that process, let alone the water that came out of the atmosphere at the time too. So it's all highly
charged water in the rain.
That's right. So you've got all these things that come into play and going, oh, there's so many circumstances and we're not allowed to talk about it. Oh, rubbish,
Yeah. It's just all a little bit too rabbit hole for some people.
Yeah.
In this clip, this is a full episode. This is an hour one. This is one of our open days. This is the late spring open day that came out recently.
Yes.
Matt Dobson writes, what a crock. Hope no one's paying for this. Thanks, Matt. That's really kind, mate. Good one. As you can see, other people think differently.
Yeah, well, Matt can come and have a look at the farm if he wants to. I mean, this is the part that's really quite funny is that people say these things if I bother to engage with them. And usually there's 2 or 3 emails go back and forth and then there's an invariable quiet because it may appear that I've fallen out of the last tree that grew and saying some pretty outrageous gobbledygook. But there's a lot of background behind this. And you got to look at how many scientists and how much work's done before.
That's gone before this, yeah.
It's gone before and nobody wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you even surprised me when we put together about that Rene Quinton and the seawater. Like you pulled a whole lot of YouTube and video stuff up and all sorts of stuff up that I hadn't actually seen before. So there's a whole lot more material coming to the fore. But, gee, that's cool. And the differences were quite phenomenal.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Uni Party writes, great to see some conventional growers. They will be pleased with the results. Not quite sure.
Maybe they're just looking. There are some conventional farmers that come along and have a look, and they're starting to change.
Yeah, good point. Good point. John writes for the algorithm.
Good on you.
Not sure, but okay. Rollo writes, Rollo Thomas, how much seawater do you use per hectare to inoculate the soil with cyanobacteria initially? This is a good question. He goes on, I'm only 5 kilometres from the sea. Also, I'm 54 degrees latitude. So is the presumably high charge in our soil a hindrance or a bonus? And is that related to electrical conductivity? Sweet spot, 0.3 to 0.5.
At 54, he's fairly well south or north. So, and it's got to be pretty cold and close to the ocean. Well, it'll fire it up. The only thing that you can say is there the right nutrient for it to hold the activity, and whether there's any toxicity left behind. Because this is one of the things that still we saw the EMF video before. It's like people really need to understand this electrical charge, and it creates a frequency just like it does going into a speaker in your radio set.
Yeah.
Or what we got on right here, okay? There's without the electrical charge, there's nothing, right?
Yeah.
So when that frequency goes through and it creates it's going through a soil that's full of a chemical, nasty chemical, it's going to amplify the frequency of that nasty chemical. And the plant responds exactly the same way as if it was sprayed.
Yeah.
It won't grow. And that means we've got to clean the soil first. And that's where I just love the work of Paul Stamets and the fungal work that he's done. It's just phenomenal, the amount of work he's done on that particular subject.
Yeah.
So in this regard, go to it, have a crack. Can't guarantee about the fungal species, can't, like your toxicity and all that sort of stuff. But that latitude, the electrical charge would have a huge bearing in increasing his productivity in the short summer months that they have.
Well, Rollo finishes up with, and would you recommend some Basic slag, and at what amount per hectare to get the ball rolling?
I don't know where you can get your slag from, and I don't know about the silica. No, I've got no idea. And
because when it was good, it had silica in it already.
Yes, and that was only an accidental, as I've discussed. That disappeared, and then they stopped selling it to farmers anyway.
Because they went and extracted the silica out of it.
And
then they still sold the product, but without the silica, and people wonder why it didn't work.
Well, at that stage, I don't think anyone quite followed it as much as I did through the rabbit holes of going on. And the other thing is that they stopped selling it because it has a pH of 9, and if cows eat it, they blows their ruin up. No. So there was a combination of that happening, and
Maverick John writes, what kind of rocks are those? I'd like to have more information about them. Now, there is a video about Guardian rocks, which covers this off extensively. But of course, he's writing, if we just take a close, this is the episode where we had the gentleman doing the kinesiology.
Yes,
and he was a really, really big sort of a bloke. Well, no, he's really fit. He said, I'm at the gym 4 times a week, and his energy level just dropped when he held onto the wire, which is associated with the neighbor's paddock, right?
Yeah.
So I think in that moment, because the rock was placed in this video back onto the fence line, and then his strength returns, which is this kinesiology demonstration, it's in that context that he's asking.
That's right. And that's the same thing as we talked earlier in the video. They're always of volcanic origin.
Okay.
Always. And so
an andesite rock is always volcanic.
Yeah, no, but it doesn't have to be just an andesite. It can be any of the volcanic. It can have the blue one. There's multitudinal different volcanic rocks. And for some reason, some of them work brilliantly and some don't. But it's always volcanic.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't guarantee, that it needs to be an andesite. It can be any of the other volcanics as well. Scoria is any
scoria,
number.
really?
Yeah, any of them.
Scoria is quite sort of bubbly.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
But it has particular property that I don't know what it is, but it cleans that EMF and away we go.
Okay, cool.
Oh, sorry, basalt. That's the other one.
Basalt.
That's the other major one that you want to go chase around and try it out.
Okay. And the last question on this one was put the dirt in his pocket. I think they're referring to in the kinesiology test.
Oh,
yeah. Maybe that would have improved it for him because your dirt's so healthy. Okay, now on this one, soil works like an ocean. This is a small clip. Absolutely gleaning all the learnings you lads are dishing out. So fringe, but that's where it's at. Ha ha ha. Listening from Zimbabwe. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool to have people from overseas. We've had a lot of really nice comments from some overseas viewers.
We're getting a huge following from people from all around the globe.
I've noticed that a few people have reached out to get the book, and we're sending a few off from outside of New Zealand, which is cool. Chapter 14, the beach, and Mike Stewart writes, is there a lab test? This is a good question. I was thinking about this too when we were going through this. Is there a lab test to determine the level and quantify if cyanobacteria are present in the soil?
Well, the soil food web are doing bacterial and fungal species, but one of the things is that they're absolutely microscopic. They're tiny, and you can identify them because when we were doing these tests, they're going, oh, this is just other funny stuff, but we don't know what it is.
Oh.
And we're going, oh, yeah, we know what that is.
Right.
And so people haven't identified it. They are smaller than the usual bacteria because they're a single cell.
Mm-hmm.
So they're absolutely tiny. And so you can see them in the soil food web, but you've got to look really deep.
Yeah, well, because we've had video, which we've had in, which we took for demonstration purposes and played of cyanobacteria and the water bears eating them.
Yes.
I mean, that was at 100 or 200 microns or something.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It was, 200 times maybe. I'm not sure, but it was a lot of zooming in to see them.
Yeah, they're tiny. And that's the only thing is that the soil food web, you can see them, but most people don't realize what they're looking at because they're so small. They're the smallest of the small.
Mm-hmm.
And they're usually looking for the next lots of microbes, protozoa and nematodes and all these bigger wriggly things going, oh, look how many of them about. And going, well, go and have a look a little bit smaller to see where it all started.
Yeah. Well, that's right. Larry Strayer, 8336, writes, as I've listened to the channel, my college learning in horticulture and the companion courses in microbiology are becoming a new paradigm. Your comparative of seawater to soil biodiversity just clicked into my stagnant mind. That's cool. Thanks,
Excellent.
an ephemera for me. That's cool, Larry.
Awesome.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, when it all sort of comes together and you've also had maybe like an adjacent education to this, and you go, oh, I'm seeing the links between this and the interconnectedness of some other things. I think this is Amelia, 43 Amelia. Amazing work as always. Thanks, Amelia. Rob writes, aha, finally, you gave me the answer I was looking for. This one's funny. I feel like he's suddenly got the secret answer. He writes, with regards to as to how much seawater to apply as inoculant per hectare. Savage work as always, guys. Interesting about the cyanobacteria byproduct, waste product from sea salt extraction. There's a sea salt extraction business locally. I'd love to get Ewan and Glenn Rabenberg to Soil Works over to Ireland for a talk someday. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Rollo. That's really cool.
Yeah, love to come soon. Look, I used 100 litres of seawater.
Okay, that was your ratio to how much land?
Per hectare.
Per hectare.
When I first started. And that was an interesting process. But that was where it really clicked in that it needed a food source and it needs silicon. And I had just put serpentine on, which is magnesium silicon, and it just exploded. And the whole farm changed. It looked like I'd regrassed it, except for the paddocks that the cows were in at the time, and I didn't put the serpentine on when we flew it on. So,
right.
It's all about preparation. It's no good going out there and just throwing seawater on when there's no silicon availability. They really need it.
But what about the source of the seawater? Because, how far out into the ocean do you go to get a pure source that isn't sort of messed up in the local harbour or something?
Well, we went to Bowentown Harbour, which is it. We went down the boat ramp.
Yeah.
And we sucked it out. And we sucked so much out that the water went down.
You didn't, come on. Come on. You mean the tide went out?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you didn't actually go out into deep water like those initial experiments with the dog's blood?
No. Look, cost, expense and all sorts of other things. It was crazy enough as it was. I think it's in the book I put in there. I had a little 8-foot dinghy and I had a motor on it and I just went out a little way and I started it and the bloody pipe wasn't connected properly and the boat started filling up and it was hilarious. And I looked up and there's these two cars on the car and they fell off the car. They were watching from laughing so much. It would have been better than a Monty Python skit.
Oh, brilliant. That was Rollo. Thanks, Rollo. Beyond Organics NZ writes, I've been using seawater for a few years. Great results with our crops. I go to Muriwai. I only walk in waist deep with a couple of 10-litre buckets. Well, that sort of answers my question from before. I avoid the east coast of Auckland. Those beaches are usually closed after rain with shit. You want water that's not from a harbour. Deep ocean's best. I told you, Ian. West coast is good. No, but that's a really good example, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just you want a good, healthy biome.
Matthew Johnston writes, if seawater is really, really good for the land and it is very close to human blood, why don't people drink it as a health benefit?
It's fine. Go for it.
Really?
The thing is that we've made minerals up where we use the products that come from grass meal where they extract the salt. And so the sodium chloride, so they concentrate the other minerals. And so in that way, you're getting a more potentized brew sort of thing. But I've heard lots of people drinking about seawater, glass of seawater a day's done a world of good.
It's funny because when I, as one of the commenters on the videos here, you should call ocean elements ocean potion. I take my morning ocean potion, and it feels like I'm drinking seawater a little bit. And also I add natural organic sea salt to just a pinch now to water. So in a sense, I'm having seawater light.
Yeah.
Because it's diluted very much because it's drinkable. Yeah. And I find that really good. Oh, here's one from one of the shorts. And this was about better results by feeding the soil, not just the animal. KMD has responded and made a comment about this one. I'm just going to play it and see what's in it.
We're using minimal amounts with very, very good results. Now we get the biology working and the copper comes into availability really quick. We've learnt the tricks of how to put the minimal in to get the maximum out.
Is it better to put it in the soil than in the animal in terms of the overall health outcome of the animal?
Well, the proteins form in the soil and then the proteins form in the plant. And if you don't do it, all of a sudden you get nitrate excesses and you get shitty sheep and then they get all skinny and then all hell breaks loose. And then you're running around, shoving jabs in them, and they're expensive, the jabs. I mean, the actual cost of doing it in the soil is cheaper and you get a better result. So that was just one of the issues that I saw.
Keen to dive deeper? That's interesting. So KMD actually makes a comment about that as to the chain of events that saves a whole lot of money, which I guess is what you're getting at in that point.
Yeah, look, the quality begins in the soil. It actually begins with the cyanobacteria.
Of course.
But feed them right and it comes right through. And it's just something that we've noticed that where some of the studies have said they need X amount of parts per million of copper or nickel or iodine or cobalt, we're seeing that they don't need as much when it comes through the plant. So you can do the calculations. So
because when it comes through the plant, it's been turned into something that has been biologically processed.
That's right.
And something biologically processed is better for the next thing to biologically process it.
It certainly appears that way. It's like you can certainly go down the track of supplementing minerals if you've got a deficiency, but if you go after the soil first, you get a much better result right the way through.
Okay. And so long shot question, but does that mean that things like the phosphates or the nitrogen that are put on that aren't biologically processed are at a disadvantage versus what you find within the herbage tests?
Yeah, well, in that regard, when you're putting on nitrogen in the soil and it shows up in the herbage test, and you get 4.5 to 5% nitrogen, you only need 3. It's an excess problem. It's a major problem.
It's a problem of excess. Okay,
excess of something you don't actually want because it wasn't processed correctly.
Mm-hmm.
It just plant took it up in luxurious amounts.
Mm-hmm.
Plant grew. Everyone thought, oh, we're growing lots of grass, but really it did was grow yourself lots of problems.
Yeah, and people understand that with excess nitrates, don't they?
Well, they're starting to.
Right.
Yeah, it's got a bit to go yet.
Now, in this one, cyanobacteria, the hidden engine driving your soil. Great video, how to increase these bacteria in the soil. Thanks, Shrivelly. Uniparty writes, we bury in rubbish tips all the organic made things that feed these bacteria. If we composted it all and trucked it back at harvest and seeding time as a backload to seed to reduce the amount of tip volume by 60%. Across Australia, it's going to make a difference quickly.
Waste nothing.
Waste nothing. Yeah.
It's like, in anything, it's like everything has a use.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah, shout out to our Australian viewers. Thanks. As neighbours, it's nice to get your comments, by the way. Mike Stewart writes, what are your thoughts on growing, I love this question. What are your thoughts on growing Spirulina cyanobacteria for use as a soil additive / seed inoculant / fertiliser? There are lots of YouTubes on how to grow it.
Yeah, look, I'd have to say it's probably a bloody good idea, but go to it and try it out. I mean, it'd be a bit difficult for doing 250 acres with Spirulina, though.
Yeah.
Mind you, the cows might like it.
Well,
it's quite
I'm sure
tasty.
They love it. It's I like it.
Yeah.
He also writes, what are your thoughts on adding diatomaceous earth to the soil to boost the silica content? I've heard that some people add it to potting mix and seed raising mix.
Doesn't work in the soil from what I can see.
Really?
I've tried and tried. And it doesn't seem to be available. It seems to have some interesting connotations when you put it through an animal. There seems to be some availability. whether that's an ability to pull some of the nitrates out in excesses because it has a great absorption potential. But I haven't seen it as a great soil amendment. But putting it in compost, and that may actually help the absorption of moisture as well as in potting mix. So, yeah, but I haven't seen it as a great.
Okay. Full of Flame writes, could we develop troughs with the required, I think she's trying to say, salts to breed beneficial cyanobacteria with which to water our crops from, perhaps ponds?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, but you don't need many. And once they get going in the soil, they'll just, if you've got the soil right, they'll just go bonkers.
Right. I love this question from JM Farms. So if you're short of the cyanobacteria, how do you get more of them?
Go to the beach.
Yeah, go to the beach.
Go to the beach.
And
well, you get a bucket of seawater. But the interesting thing is you've got to set up the environment to put them in. Always,
right.
always
so the thing is, if you just get some and your environment's crap, they die.
Mm.
And if you've got none, your environment's crap, they died.
Yeah.
So you got to change the environment.
Yeah, well, when I was playing around with it, there was a whole series of stages of what actually happened. You know, I remember going down to the beach and I got myself 40 litres or so, and I put them in the backpack and I went out and walked my trial plots and put X amount on, and I finished it and go, I've still got some in it. So I started spraying this crazy line all around the paddock, and I just forgot about it, went back to the house, backpack was empty.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I sort of thought, oh shit, I better go and have a look at that trial on the cyanobacteria. So I go there, go, wow, look at that. And then I followed the crazy little line around the paddock and came back to the house. But in that circumstances, I'd done a huge amount of work beforehand with balancing my soils and doing all these other bits and pieces. And it just showed that when I introduced the cyanobacteria to a healthy soil biome, and it just went poof, and that was that experiment that got me to order the helicopter and spray the whole farm with 100 litres of seawater.
Right.
So I know that if I went into a paddock that hadn't had what we'd been trying to, tidying the soils up, and that wouldn't have worked.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
So, you've got to set an environment. So all these things that we've learnt along is because we did one thing, that allowed us to do another thing. And then that showed, and when you did that, then there was a whole lot of things happened after that. And then you had to run around and tidy up all the bits and pieces of what happens when you take your soil to a new dimension. And it's ongoing.
Side question just from me. Do you think people from overseas who hear about this are thinking, oh, well, it's all right for you. You're in New Zealand. Your soils are different.
Haven't actually had that, to tell you the truth.
It's interesting because I know a lot of books are going out to the US and other countries at the moment from an Eco-Farmer's Discovery, the book that we do a book companion with and the podcast. And it's interesting to me that they do, because they must be thinking, oh, this must apply to my land as well.
Well, I think that when they hear us talking, they actually hear, oh, God, they've got the same problem as we have. Or, that's the same issue as, oh, no, not that. No, yeah, okay, let's better read this stuff and find out. I mean, they're all have variances, but there's some underlying factors in all soils that need to be remedied.
True. Brethren Ricks writes, I think this person wants their cake and eat it too, as they say. I'm not sure they're going to like this answer. Are they affected slightly or greatly by herbicide applications?
They die.
That's greatly, Brethenix.
Yeah.
That's greatly, I'm afraid. Your ebook link appears to be dead. Oh, Scheisenhauser. All right, well, we'll look into that and we'll see. I'll make sure that's going. We've got KMD again. Now, they've written fluoride. This is in the fluoride your body actually needs. Now, in this clip about fluoride, we were talking about calcium fluoride versus sodium fluoride, because sodium fluoride's the one that people get quite concerned about, but is often put as one of the common variants of fluoride into toothpaste. It's not the only one. Calcium fluoride is one of the tissue cell salts.
Yes.
And they've written fluoride in toothpaste and water is rubbish for you and your teeth. It's all money and they want us sick. Well, not well. Calcium fluoride, great though. And rock salt. What's this about rock salt?
Oh, you're looking at rock salt. You're looking at old ancient seabeds like Utah and Himalayan salt. We're looking at deposits when the earth was reasonably clean.
Okay.
Calcium fluoride, that's the one you need. And not to the point you need to gobble tons and tons of it. The homeopathic stuff's just about enough to remedy it. But it has an immense effect on our health. And you only have to change that to sodium fluoride and it's gone.
What was it? Calcium fluoride was also in the tissue salts, as I recall. Was it about elasticity? Yeah.
It's found predominantly in the spleen, I believe, and it's the beginning of new corpuscles in the blood. And so there's numerous functions of it. Elasticity is one of them. Like if I seem to be going through a process, my hamstrings get really tight at times, and it'll be calcium fluoride that I need at that stage. And you pop, 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 and then all of a sudden they release. It's not the same as cramps with magnesium. It is elasticity.
Yeah, I've been taking some too. Actually, I've got some right over there. After you were telling me about your hamstrings and things.
Yeah, well, I've had a few people talk about it. It's like a big part to do with your eyesight as well.
Yeah.
Elasticity, the focal points in and out.
Have you actually, on our eyesight, have you heard about the benefits of red light therapy on eyesight?
I've heard about it, but I haven't played with it.
I've got a red light in the other room.
Oh, okay.
I keep shining it at my eyes.
Oh, right.
Well, I can't see anything anymore, but
well,
I'm giving it a go.
So, yeah.
Yeah. In this clip, this is one of our 6-minute clips about learning soil biology through patterns, testing, and experience. We've got a comment here. There is no reason these things don't mirror in human physiology, e.g. iodine and gestation. That's from Pata Deporti.
Okay.
I don't know. Sorry, mate. But yeah, that's interesting. These things mirror in human physiology. For example, iodine and gestation. So this person's talking about iodine in relation to a pregnancy growth.
Yeah.
The
gestation. I think it might have been a bit comment about how the female fetus will abort if there's not enough iodine. There's cyanobacteria won't function if there's no iodine. Like males need it, but nowhere near as much as females, and they lose it through menstruation. There's a whole lot of things. A lot of, you just see the reaction. Just look at how many women go to bed with cold feet.
Yeah.
And that's thermoregulation. We see that in dairy cows, and like they get cold, there's a shower of rain, they'll run over to the corner and huddle up. And a lot of the times some simple things like use an iodine-based teat spray. That you spray it on, and you come back to the next milk, and it's all gone. So the cow's actually absorbing the iodine through itself. So they get some iodine that way every day. And so they may be negating a major iodine deficiency in the cows by just teat spraying them, where the guy down the road might be using a different teat spray. And I have heard of people that can't use iodine teat spray because they're allergic to it. But quite often that can be just the difference between one herd of cows running over to the corner of the farm because they're cold, hiding in the trees, and the other herd of cows standing out in the middle of a rain squall.
Amazing.
And so, all of these things have parts to play and just like little indications going, oh, yeah. It's one of the questions I ask quite regularly going to farm. Do you use iodine teat spray? Oh, yeah, we do. Why do you ask?
So in that example, the person who was the sprayer, the applicator of the iodine teat spray had an allergic reaction to it.
Yeah.
How different is it from, say, Lugol's?
Well,
Lugol's iodine.
It's pretty much the same chemistry.
Okay.
It just diluted usually with some glycerine to make it stick.
That's why it tastes so sweet, eh? It's the glycerine.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been taking some iodine Lugol's recently. Because I remember you telling me if you pick up Ewan's Ocean Elements from EFA.nz, the solution and the powder mixed together is a very complete collection of minerals, bar iodine.
There's a bit
because
of iodine.
You said I should take iodine with it.
You can take it for a little bit. The big one that's missing is silicon.
Okay.
And we have put that in the Ocean Elements because we add in a bamboo, which is a plant-based silicon. But generally that's the one that's missing out of that set. But, like all of these minerals, like that's just a base material. Once you have the 12 salts and a few other bits and pieces, you can sort of really help regulate yourself. But I think we're the same as the soil and the plants. If we can get it through the food, we're better off. But,
not that you have a problem with supplementation.
Nope.
No. The next one. I've listened to your book twice and I'm going to give it another go, says Vincent. Well, why not?
Absolutely.
It's good reading. Read it more than once.
Yeah. I read it way more than once.
That was from a clip called How Electricity Communicates. Now, what's the next one here? Ancient knowledge behind the 12 mineral salts. So in this one, we had several comments. Divya Lock Your Soul Light writes, humans on planet Earth do not exist without the influence of the other planets. So the zodiac isn't out of context here. It's very related. Yeah, because when we were talking about the 12 mineral salts, we were also discussing the relationship to the zodiac and ancient astronomy and astrology. Water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. That's a quote from something, isn't it?
Yeah, you're stuck in the ocean.
Oh, I feel so stupid. Fill me in.
No, that's when you're out stuck at sea. Like
you're on a ship. Well, if you're stranded on a boat, that'll be your thought. And look, I told you some of these comments are going to come from haters. Andy from Derbyshire writes, into the soil science, but drop the zodiac human thing, esoteric crap. Sorry, you're delegitimizing your other knowledge. Thankfully, perhaps it was a comment in passing. To which I say, how do you delegitimize anything? If it's good, it's good. If you don't like this, well, that's for you to choose.
Yeah, I guess, like I don't get all woo-woo and all that sort of thing, but there's parts to play in this process that you just cannot ignore.
Mm.
And, you just got to put it to a side and just park it, park the car, had to think about this and go, well, like when you look at Sagittarius is silica.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Sagittarius.
I'm Sagittarius.
Yeah, and like all the indications of I've had sore hips and all these things about lacking silica, and I'm always talking about silica and blah, blah, blah. And then you drop into, calcium sulfate, which is the Scorpio. But, I like the one about Libra. Libra is the scales of justice.
Mm.
It's Nat Phos. It's the pH balance in the body.
Yeah.
It's just too damn compelling.
Yeah, it's very compelling. And the ancients, like I said, I think in that episode, express this knowledge of what they've observed and the effects that it's had through symbolism.
Yeah.
And use the communication tool of the time, which was very much astrological and season-based. And to someone like Andy, look, mate, I think if something like that triggers you, just recognize that it is and don't throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Don't.
Because you're cutting your nose off to spite your face.
Well, they are.
If you don't like it.
I don't mind the comments. I mean, when I look at this stuff and talk about this sort of stuff, there's certain of my beliefs are not put out here in the.
Yeah, sure. Well, we skipped one previously.
Yeah. Well, basically, the big issues is that we're not discussing enough, as it is, of a lot of stuff that's going on, and there's a level of communication or understanding that we get as we go along that allows you to go to another level of discussing things at a different level and ongoing. Mm-hmm. And there's some people that I can just have outrageously ridiculous conversations with.
A very quick sort of no mucking around, straight into the deep dive.
Yeah. And then others, you just don't even contemplate it.
No.
But that's fine.
Yeah, interesting. Over on this one, Winter on the Farm, the real start to the season. Now, this is one of our long episodes, which was one of the open days. And Rick Cameron writes, that is a club of being totally honest all the time. These evaluators risking their own money and dealing with the results is the basis of that club. I'm not sure what Rick's talking about. Observation and continual questioning by the decision maker changes when their mind joins that club. You got any thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, he's got that club, which is THATT, tell the truth all the time or something like that. On the whole wording on it. So it's just telling people. It's like speaking what you see and what you do and what you are, just how it comes out. Like that's the way it is. It's just if you don't like it, sorry, that's the way I've seen it and that's the way I've observed it. And if that doesn't meet the criteria of the scientific views that you've been brought up with and so be it.
Yeah. But he makes another interesting point, actually. He says Ewan's rotation lengths and rainfall-loving cyanobacteria effects enable his efforts for further improvements to flourish. Sharing the farm and the feedback in this manner will embarrass many critics. That's interesting too, because it does surprise the critics when they see your farm as the model where you've applied this knowledge? Because what was it the guy saying from Australia? It was like walking through silk.
Yeah, it was working on a carpet, like it's just so soft. It's unbelievable, like how soft the ground is in the wintertime. And
Yeah.
well, I mean, there's a lot of people.
It was an Australian farmer that came to check out your way of doing things.
Yeah, there was a couple of them were going, God, it's so soft. And this is the challenge I get. I've talked to other people that have been in the same situations, scientists and that come to their farms, and the scientists are going to tell them all about how bad a farmer they are and everything. And the whole thing just completely contradicts the scientist's point of view. And that's the challenging thing, is that if you don't like it, if you don't go, you don't have to not like it because you didn't see it.
That's interesting. If you don't go and check it out, but also it sort of shits me a bit that scientists turn up to tell a farmer that they're not doing farming right. Because, whereas, if you've got advice, I've noticed you can actually say, well, I've actually got a farm and this has worked on a bunch of clients, plus you can come and look at what we do, which is a nice way to cover that base. Paul Joss maybe, the first person talking, was the farm putting any type of fert on before EcoFarm, or was it a no-fert farm prior?
No, it'll be
the first person?
Yeah, Kerry. We'd been on the farm that he had been on before. We'd done the program there for 3 years and had phenomenal results. So so no, none of the people. I'm not throw out the baby, throw out the bathwater, throw out everything. I'm just saying whatever you do on your farm, it's be accurate. And
right.
That's all there is to it. Find out what the limiting factors are and go after them. Spend your money wisely and get a better result.
Yeah, cool. Now in Weeds Part 2, Jeff Russell writes, what's the best source of silica that I can use?
Well, we use hydrated, volcanic silicas. Doesn't matter what you use. If you don't know how to turn them on, they'll just sit there and they won't work.
What is meant by hydrated? I mean, I assume it means it's got water in it or something.
No, it's bound with a hydroxyl OH instead of oxygen. So instead of going into a oxide form, it's in a hydroxide form.
Okay.
And then it is far more available, and it can be converted to silicic acid. And it's all good. It's sweet. So the issue is that's what you got to look for. But you got to be able to turn it on. You got to have the right biology. You got to get rid of you got to get the fungal species to clean it up. And there's a million different things to go with it.
Nice. Thanks, Jeff. Jalinka Arden writes, wonderful perspective based off actual experience and keen observation, the way things should be. I couldn't agree more. And she also writes, I have 100 acres of Californian thistle infested land in Tasmania. Oh, mate. Wondering what you suggest that's natural to increase silicon in the soil in available form to plants to speed up our soil healing process.
Well, that's where we do have to get out and about. I do believe from the chap that you were talking about before that was finding that the farm was so soft to walk on, he was from Tasmania. Yeah, and we're talking about certain products. And by the sound of it, Tasmania probably has the ingredients that's required to remedy the problem. But I haven't got to go to Tasmania just yet.
Mm-hmm.
And but as soon as we get someone over there that knows what to look for, we'll let you know.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. It is a trick finding these things, honestly. Like it's not a simple process. Well, it is simple once you know what you're looking for, but
yeah, simple is relative, isn't it?
It is.
F. Bryce Lifey writes, bristlegrass equals Soteria? ? We have it in our paddocks in the summer and we aren't spraying. Back in the early 1900s, it was planted here. Where do you think he is?
Actually, I don't know. That's a good question, really, because I don't actually know what it's.
Does that sound like an example based in New Zealand?
Well, it could be, but it could be elsewhere as well. And it could be the Latin name for it, the Soteria. I don't know.
Because bristlegrass does it equal Soteria.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't checked it out. And
I might add, if you're asking questions like this and we get a chance to try and answer them, please say where you're from.
Yes, absolutely.
It saves me having to try and dig back through your profile to see if there's a clue to it.
I'd have to go and dig up the plant books on that. But we've seen it grow in paddocks too. But as soon as you change the fertility and make it healthier, it buggers off.
Yeah, it's done its bit.
Yeah.
Okay, in nitrate poisoning, which was our one about blue babies and things from 3 months ago, we had a few questions here, 12 of them actually. Rick Cameron again, the host interaction and video backups adds much. Oh, that's nice, mate. Thanks, I appreciate that. These universities need to create a degree for observation to regain some credibility. Yeah, I agree. Duckhaven Oamaru writes, so bloody interesting, and you hit the nail on the head. Government departments, researchers, universities, they don't seem to want to communicate with each other, and honestly, if there's a solution staring them in the face, why would they want to know if their agenda is to shut farming down?
Well, this is where I was going with Mike Joy. I mean, he doesn't seem to have a factor in doing research or actually looking at any of these processes at all.
Well, I think you've written this one from us. Problem solving is not one of government's priorities, yet we get on with it and sort the mess.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Salamovication writes, brilliant. Thank you very much. The perception has to change before we see any changes on land. Yeah. Rick Cameron again. Excellent opportunity to learn the 20-to-1 ratio of problem solution solving. Bad news or problems penetrate or sell to the populace 20 times faster than a solution. Yeah, that's true, isn't it? You know, bad news will motivate people. It'll sort of prompt them into scaring them a bit. Trent writes, did I get this correctly? The nitrogen application is traceable. The source of the nitrogen into the environment can be identified. Do you want to take it from there?
Yeah. The isotope of nitrogen is traceable, and you can follow it through to a point, and it has a degradation process too. So it has a time factor degradation. I can't say right off.
Is that N15 to 14?
Yes. Like how
that change from 15 to 14?
Yeah, it will come back down to 14 over a period of time. But yeah, it is traceable, and it's the kicker that starts the process, which is really, we do it all the time. We watch our carbon levels fall. We don't have the carbon in the soil. We don't have the carbon in the tests. We don't actually monitor how much we've lost in fertility by using the nitrogen. We don't know what simple maths is. And I think we're going to have to do a video on arithmetic. Because,
no, please.
It's only something like 3 times 4 and 4 times 5.
I can handle that.
You can handle that, yeah, because the professors and the bunyips that are trying to say that there's no problem with the nitrogen and blah, 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 don't even seem to know maths.
This is going to be an entertaining episode.
It will be. It should be. It's like I think I will actually put my funny glasses on and my mustache to make it look like I'm more intelligent than I am. But like basically, the studies and that are going on can't even calculate the amount of nitrogen ingested in a cow on a daily basis, even with the herbage test and knowing how much went in there. It's like dry matter times percentage of N tells how much the cow has to deliver, where did it go in the milk, how much came out in the pee. It's so freaking simple.
Yeah.
It's like, so who are they trying to defend?
Well, Trent, who writes this question, Trent Wadham, it's a bit of a spiky question because he's onto it here. So he's sort of getting to the point about the farmer as being sold a substance to use for production, which has a traceable environment detrimental effect. Good question. And he makes a good observation. Therefore, the supplier of that product is responsible for the unintended consequences, not the farmer. That might shift responsibility, cost of that input, and then the budget might, just go to read more, get changed for on-farm use. Yeah, true. Finally, a different outlook on production might be considered, the old follow the money trail to see who is responsible. I think he's thinking a little bit like you think.
Yeah, like he's tracing back where the problem came from. And government started this process. Muldoon and the Think Big project created the Taranaki nitrogen factory.
Yeah.
And so it goes on. We didn't need it. We didn't use bugger all of it. But there was gas out there and they decided to build a nitrogen factory. So a story was built.
Was the building of the nitrogen a way of monetizing a toxic byproduct or something?
No, it just took natural gas and turned it into nitrogen, which you could call a toxic byproduct in the wrong isotope.
I suppose in the wrong isotope, yeah.
But basically, the narrative followed the production of the plant. You had to sell it. Who were they going to sell it to? Why would you build a factory if you weren't intending to sell it?
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. It's the mid-'80s. And like as I've spoken through the books and what I've written in my farming career, when I went overseas in 85, we were growing plenty of grass, even on the peat, except for when it's dry, and came back at 86. The phosphate changed from Nauru, and then the production started to fall. It's almost like these guys knew what was going to happen, although I don't know if they did or not, but like it started to fall because that Nauru product was quite unique compared to other phosphate products.
Yeah.
So then they went to, the more on theory. Let's double the product up. Let's put more on. And the production started to fall. And I remember it so...
Diminishing return.
I just you go into rugby practice and, I haven't got as much. Just try a bit of this in. And before you knew it, everybody was using it. So the factory had been built. And did they know that this was what was going to come? A great way to farm the farmers more. We certainly have not increased production from it at all. And in fact, we've decreased our realistic margins on productivity against inputs.
Yeah, you've been telling me behind the scenes about that, and it surprises the heck out of me that there may not be any
that's a study that I'm just
improvement.
Yeah, and the study that somebody's done, and I'm going to read it up fully.
This is the Kellogg one?
Yeah, and I'm going to read it up fully, and I can't quote on any of it at the moment because I only just read the original introduction and that, and so it looks like somebody's actually done some work to say there's no profitability in applying nitrogen, and I would then, if you add in the decrease in carbons and the loss of soil function, I think you're probably losing money on it. But we'll do some numbers on it. I'm actually going to do...
If that turns out to be a good information, we'll make a podcast out of it.
Sure will.
666 Bruv writes, if the doco milked is credible, New Zealand dairy is effed. I'm not so sure that the doco milk is credible. Have you seen it? I looked at it once and went, this is very woke agenda.
Yeah, look, I watched part of it and I just thought, somebody's got to...
Someone's funding this.
Yeah, somebody's got a bent on this of how it is. It's not.
Someone's trying to promote veganism.
Yeah. Look, the dairy industry has so much potential to produce something exquisite. And we know that when the milk's right, lower nitrogen, more complete proteins, better fats, the products that come from that are exceptional. And it doesn't matter what you produce, whether it's meat or whatever. I mean, we didn't win food awards and be national restaurants and that supplying them without being good at what we did. But same thing goes with the milk. And we've got to stop being a bulk supplier of white stuff.
Yeah.
And look at it as a food source. And it doesn't take long to fix people's farms up, really.
That's good. Yeah. Well, I guess people are cottoning on to this because I'm seeing people everywhere. I should say in the office, I'm seeing a whole bunch of requests for soil tests coming through after seeing what's changing for them here. And I suspect they also think that it doesn't take that much to change their farm either. But then you've got to give realistic sort of timeframes, don't you? What's a realistic timeframe for change?
I mean, I say to people in the first year when we do this process, I said, if I can hold you at the productive level, I'll cut you across, get your animal health working, which means the soil's starting to work. I mean, look at the amount of years and time frames that we've had of degrading it. You want us to come along and make it beautiful. Yeah, we'll get there. Every soil's different. But, like if you've got high aluminium, it takes a bit more to get over the bump. We've got to get rid of the old chemistry and get the whole thing working. But the first year, let's hold you at that point.
Because you always say that, the key thing being hold the client at the productive level they're used to as bare minimum.
Yes.
Whilst going through the changes. That's got to be reassuring.
That's what you have to do. If we haven't done that, we have to look harder. When there's something seriously gone wrong that needs to be looked in that we've missed.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you get to that, then you can get these productive increases because the carbon starts to grow. And I've said time and time before, the amount of recycling carbon in the soil is really a reflection of how much production you're getting out. The more we get soil depth, the more carbon we got in the soil, the bigger the production.
On the 1% soil change that supercharges your farm, Rollo has written, okay, I'm going to do my total. And total availability soil tests and tackle any aluminium toxicity with silica, etc. It's funny, isn't it? People watch things. Okay, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
He goes on to mention cyanobacteria and asks this question here: is dandelion sufficiently palatable for livestock?
Yeah, fine. I mean, the more you get it healthy, the more that it grows up like a chicory leaf, and the cows love it. Quite often, when you're a bit short of calcium, it tends to flower a bit more and be a bit flatter. And quite often, when you see that, you're going. My grandfather used to say, dandelions need lime.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so that you'd lose the flowering and you'd see the more upright part of it. And it's all
Is
part
that
of
because it was giving them extra silica?
it has a nutrient profile that fits far better for growing lettuce leaves, which is dandelion is like a lettuce leaf when it starts to grow. And that brings up the calcium, and we've seen it with the silica as well. It's like they grow much more upright, same as plantains, and you can keep them in your pasture and there's no problem with them.
Rollo has some interesting things here. That his I'm assuming it's a him. His situation is fascinating. Is that sward? Is that the right word? What does it mean by sward?
Pasture sward.
Okay, and what does it mean by apiary?
Apiary, that's bees.
Right. Oh, that's bees. Okay, look, I'll take it on the nose for being an ignorant one here. So he writes, as I wish to include it, because he asked about the dandelion being palatable for livestock, as I wish to include it in our multi-species sward for our own apiary and other pollinators, bees, in addition to a mix of pollinator-friendly chicory, clovers, trefoils, sainfoin, alfalfa and plantains, as well as using the dandelions to bring calcium back up from lower in the soil and decrease compaction. We're also leveraging agroforestry to break any soil pans and vertically harvest carbon. I bet you've got a comment for that.
Sounds like he's heading down a track of beautiful
stuff.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about looking for the dandelion seed, though. It'll be there.
It'll be there.
And it'll turn up if it's required.
Yeah, it seems to preserve itself for very many years until required.
It'll just pop out and go, yeehaw, let's go.
Yeah, right. Chris Joyce writes, how do you increase organic matter to deliver those nutrient costs effectively?
A big question for a very small question. Yeah, I mean, as we've spoken before, you've got to do a lot. Soil test, balance, silica, seawater, cyanobacteria, nutrients.
There's a lot involved.
Keep watching.
Okay. Stay tuned. Oh, this is great. Yeah, the secret to flavorful beef. I really like this comment from Uniparty again. Marbling is a great marketing ploy, but not necessarily great meat.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. It's just a thing that you can visually look at it and go, it'll be good meat. I remember many years ago going in the Steak of Origin competition, and the very first, they'd get 100-odd entries, and they actually ran the test on. First of all, they did a visual assessment without even trying it. And so if your steak didn't have enough marbling in it, got discarded straight away.
Well, that's not first principles thinking, isn't it?
No,
because noticing marbling is a secondary outcome of the taste.
Yeah, we never got past first base.
Oh, that's so dumb.
I know. And yet we were going through all the top restaurants and all the other bits and pieces in one of these other food awards, but where you assess the product on marbling, I'm going,
we're going to lose here.
Well, we're not.
You don't have it.
I don't have it, and I'm not going to be. Well, we do get it occasionally in the autumn once there are seed set and the animal's setting itself up for winter. That's when it will lay down marbling healthily.
Right.
But, I don't know. We used to buy cattle out of Gisborne, and my God, I remember one broke its bloody leg and I had to shoot the damn thing when we first got to the farm. And it was so marbly. And I only did it for dog food, but I was looking at this and, God, that meat's marbled. And
which is really a sign of ill health, hence breaking its leg, right?
Lack of mineralogy to grow.
Yeah.
So the marbling comes about because there's too many carbohydrates and not enough mineral. So you can't actually grow protein and body strength. And we used to buy these cattle and bring them home and then start feeding them what we were feeding them. And all of a sudden they'd lose the fat, grow upwards, and we'd put another 150 kilos on them and then they'd be ready. So an animal was deemed to be prime because they got to this point and they got this roundness on them, but their potential had nowhere been met because they'd been lacking mineralogy in their feed. They changed. They quick. None of the fat, none of the meat from that mob looked anything like what that first animal that turned up that died.
Amazing. Yeah, that's really interesting. It really gets me thinking about the debate between an animal full of muscle, which people would say is, I don't know, gristly or difficult to eat because it would be too, what's the opposite of tender? Too chewy. Yeah, but in fact, not necessarily the case.
Not necessarily the case at all.
Yeah. So we've got a comment here from, we make the secret formula for super productive soils, and it's not just one thing. And this person writes, I'm wondering if you do small amounts for the home garden.
Absolutely.
Have we got news for you?
Yeah. Get the garden fert online. Yeah. Basically,
we call them the lifestyler.
Yeah. Well, no, the garden fert part to start with. Yeah, we have that for your home garden. Basically, if you've been using a lot of compost materials, there's generally pretty good mineralogy right throughout your garden. And we then add in, you don't have any silicon and you won't have any selenium because that usually is not part of the whole process. We don't have any iodine. Mm-hmm. So we add those in. And so we've been patted on the back many, many times from home gardeners for the great results that they get because we're adding the parts that people just don't seem to have because these are the little bits and pieces that,
Yeah, don't forget eco weed control, formerly known as dead grass. A really nice way to actually avoid the herbicides that are so awful and have a very similar result.
Yeah, keep away from those bloody sprays.
Yeah. Thanks, Marion Cornthwaite, for that question. And Craig Grain writes, really interesting, keep it up. Thanks, mate. And Michael Cooney writes, Fonterrorism, beautiful. Oh, well, he gets it.
Yeah.
What farmers lost when community disappeared was one of our videos from 2 weeks ago. And Julian Westcott writes, same in the UK. First foot and mouth, then COVID, and hammered by supermarkets, government, and red tape big companies there. There just is no will left in a lot of farmers. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But I have to say, Jeremy Clarkson's doing a couple of good things for the plight of farmers, isn't he? He's bloody amazing, his show. But also I feel sorry for Julian for what you're talking about.
There's a fair bit of depression out there.
Yeah.
Not quite so much at the moment, although, the community's been ripped apart with all these pine trees and other bits and pieces. And like the farms, in Elstow where I grew up, there's probably about half the number of farmers there now than there were 40 years ago. We're not seen as food producers, we're just environmental degraders, which we're not, or trying not to.
That's rough, isn't it?
Well, that's the way that we're portrayed.
Yeah.
The reality is we need to take a bit more time to talk to each other and need to be a bit more different about our approach. But we need to normalise this too. Because basically what we're looking at
farmers
now,
need to get together and be more community-minded with each other.
Yeah, but even with this, like when we're talking about this, I'm bringing science. Like people have said to me, you're full of shit, you got no science. And go,
actually,
I can run you down.
Yeah.
I've been at this for a long time and I am wanting to know how this works. When you say it works, how does it work? How's this? Okay, now, I see how it works. I can tell the farmers how it works. It's quite simple, but when you see a scientific explanation and a long-winded paper and all this, they talk in a form of gobbledygook of intelligence. And the gobbledygook of intelligence doesn't match with the farmer's thinking pattern, so they don't listen to they don't read scientific papers.
Yeah, well, the scientists have a problem of communication. They can't speak to the common man.
They won't be accepted. Their peer reviews will not be published if you speak to the common man.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I hear you. Gazasaur writes, cut down all the pine trees.
No, I'd love to.
Yeah? You're not a fan of them?
No, not at all.
What's he getting at?
Well, we've gone down this track of planting pine trees and it's destroying communities, like on steep hill country farms where the sheep are gone, the fence is still there and the buildings are gone, the community's broken up and they've planted pine trees on it. It's supposedly for carbon credits and saving the world, and going, well, we know that's not the way it's going.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been some public backtracking on that recently too.
Yes.
What does it matter and why does it matter? The science beneath it all. We had some comments. What is the desired parts per million of aluminium? Answered this earlier.
Available in the soil, 0.
Yeah.
But, aluminium's the structural component of soil.
Yeah.
It's just like the framework, the lattice that holds it all together, along with silica. So you need
So there's an acceptable amount?
Look, some soils have got 50,000 parts per million make it up. Some have got 500. So there's variance, huge variance, and it's just to do with their structural capacity. Some of the best soils in New Zealand are actually got really high aluminium base. Don't put superphosphate on them and they'll stay really good.
Because what, superphosphate's going to unlock the
Well, that
aluminium.
just melts it's like you're flying along in your 747. It's all aluminium, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What happens if somebody Dr. Evil started putting sulfuric acid on the top of the 7?
We would fall out of the sky. It would melt it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you destroy the structure.
Okay.
And so think about that in the soils. You're putting superphosphate on, just think it's Dr. Evil pouring sulfuric acid on your
soil. Yeah. Oh, and on your plane. Gotcha. Yeah. Lahu, thanks, mate. I love your comments. Really enjoying these. I'm just about ready to ask for some soil samples. We're waiting for it. Are we going to see some case studies? He's hot on the case studies.
I know. Yeah.
And there's me making a comment. Good idea. Rick Cameron, brilliant collection of wisdom. Ewan, very good. Sabotage at home, experienced it with wool too, but you work through it if enough of your own can think independently. Yes, Rick, I agree. And Rob Tomasi. So, how do I compensate for a 3-strand 38 kilovolt power line that traverses our field and woodland from north to south on 4 sets of poles, seeing as the electricity doesn't actually flow through the lines but actually through the magnetic field surrounding the lines? I'm going to need some pretty big rocks, eh? Plus we're at 54 degrees latitude north, so we're humming.
Yeah, look, a rock on each corner of the poles.
Yeah.
Seems to fix it. Especially like if they're steel, so you've got contact. We've had really good results.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's really interesting. And Dressel writes, the whole series, there have been, here we go. This is another hater. Sorry, Ewan. This whole series, there have been bits of overgeneralization and misinformation. You're telling me that a ponga, which is a plant, isn't carbon-based? I bet that fern is at least 40% carbon after the water weight is extracted. Where is this research coming from?
All over the place. You can actually go do the tests. Again, check out the punga's original silicon base. It's quite a different type of species.
Yeah. You might recall in this clip, you were talking about how the punga restored the, I think the silica in the land.
Well, it's you can see
helped restore the soil.
It seems to go through a process. Like we've seen it at home where we've had gorse, then the pungas come through, and then the big kauri and the other forest trees come in after that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, well, where's this research? Go and do some research yourself. So it's in that regard, it's like, why do I always have to do everyone else's research?
Yeah, true. If you're wondering where this comment is referring to, it's from Chapter 11, Rockhounds from Ewan's book, which, if you've got a Spotify account, you can actually listen to it for free.
Yeah.
If you've got a paid Spotify. And we do the Book Companion podcast is free as well. So check it out. And it doesn't cost you anything to find out. And in the Meat Producer from just 3 weeks ago, awesome discussion, guys. Thanks, Lahu. Need more people who can open up to these ideas. Hopefully, as more become aware of what they eat, they'll consider what their food eats. I actually think that's a really good point.
Yeah.
You got to consider what your food's eating. Tony Gear writes, awesome stuff. Can we purchase Ewan's produce from Bethlehem Butchery? Well,
No,
this is
sorry.
historical because at that time when the Meat Producer from Chapter 12, which was a time in your life where you're talking about when you did own the Bethlehem Butchery, you've since sold it, haven't you? Many years ago.
Years and years and years ago, yeah.
No comment on what they're producing now. But he's obviously local to the Bethlehem Butchery.
Yeah, look, localism has to come back in to abattoirs and local butcheries and all that sort of stuff. It has to.
That'd be nice if we had a regional flavour,
look,
localism.
It just has to. There's got to be a traceability to our own people. This centralisation and gobbledygook we got now. I mean, even back in the day when I was doing all that, there was cattle coming up from Gisborne to going to Auckland to be processed, to be put in a box to send back to Gisborne.
Come on.
No. And so, look at this debacle that we have is that you don't know where your meats come from. The animals are stressed, all this stuff. It's, it's an ongoing process. It's not good at all. And come on. Driven by money, I expect.
Well, if you're concerned about carbon miles, that's just insane.
Yep.
Okay, and the last few comments. Can enough silica be gleaned from plant water extracts or ferments like horsetail to be an effective silica source for soil applications or foliar applied?
I don't believe so.
Well, what would be?
I'm only seeing this process in the soil, and we see it in the herbage test, and I've talked to a few people just even today about stuff like this, is that what we are seeing is that if you go on and do a herbage test out in your pasture, quite often we're seeing aluminium levels of 200 parts per million plus, and we're seeing the silicon down at 20 parts per million to 30 parts per million. Now, at that point, you can just about say that you'll be growing Californian thistles, other thistles, all sorts of problems. Now, we have to swap that round. And what we're seeing now is that when we got it working fairly convincingly, we're over 100 parts per million of silicon availability and above. And we see the aluminium down at 40 parts per million and below. I think ours this year was 20 parts per million.
Wow.
So we've taken it from those really highs. So we're only 10% the amount of aluminium in the plant now of what we had. And the silicon's quadrupled. And we see the change in the animals, we've seen the change in the soil, and that. When you do the numbers on that, you just can't get it from an application of, extracting from these small sources. Because what we've done is we've put a system in place in the soil, because the hydrated silica has to be converted to silicic acid. So the biology in the soil, which we know the cyanobacteria do that. So there is a process that we're putting back in the soil which naturally functions, and it follows itself through. I don't believe there's extracts or anything like that can do that job on an ongoing process. You need the system back again. It's like, I've bought a $5 million Swiss watch. We're missing the middle cog. It looks lovely, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, good point. Djamil writes, increasing B plus SI, that's boron and silica, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does not increase calcium?
It does so.
In soil, it may enhance the distribution of calcium in the plant.
Yeah, no,
is this person's assertion?
I've seen the calcium availability in the soil.
Okay.
But that is taking it out of the totals and bringing it in the availables.
Right.
It doesn't do it. It just makes it available. So it's cool. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. That is the end of 20 tabs worth of comments. We even have more. I just want to say thanks to the people that have tuned in.
Yeah,
the people that have liked, subscribed, and to the regular people that are commenting. We really appreciate it. And,
absolutely.
And those that have reached out to buy the book or reached out to EFA.NZ, that's the website, EFA.NZ, for soil tests and inquiries, that's also much appreciated.
Yeah, cool. And I think we really need to make it poignant. We are working really hard to see if these scientists can actually do their arithmetic, and we'll do some of those numbers shortly just to try and make out that whether they can or can't.
Cool. All right, well, see you in the next one.
Okay.
Keen to dive deeper? Check out our audiobook, An Eco-Farmer's Discovery, on Spotify, or grab our free ebook, The 6 Things You Need to Improve Soil and Farm Profit. Links in the description.